which should, in theory, let me draw. Not highlighter, I want pencil. Big old bright pen size. We'll go for this nice bright pink color. Oh yeah, look at that. That's what I'm talking about. All right, we do need to drop the size down a little bit though. Oh hey, let's just give this a try. Oh, goddamn. Oh dear. Okay. Oh, this is really nice. This is a nice smooth flow to it. Very cool. All right. Oh, that's almost worth getting the Pro for. You can have a fading ink option, but we'll leave that for now. That's not important. All that actually matters is the size and how clean it is. I am a fan of this. All right, and then I think we can just clear it by deleting. Perfect. All right, that's exciting. That's going to make this a little more interactive. The other thing I'm going to try to do here is figure out how to make polls. Wait, what's that? Close other apps. Um, and then that gets rid of the screen annotate. Okay, cool. Polls, 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 polls. We're going to go into editor. And we're going to go take a look at polls. Oh yeah, I wanted to playing around with these lights a little bit, seeing if I can find a color that doesn't completely wash out my face. Just gonna have to accept that the lighting isn't very good. And I don't actually mind that because I don't really care if you want to look at me or not. Although, I mean, obviously I am very pretty. All right, let's see here. Well, that's interesting. Is that actually being captured? No. That's annotate and draw. All right, hold on. We're going to delete that. Yes. Okay, perfect. Okay, and see if we can add a new source here. Widgets, spin wheel, charity, emote, wall, support, goal, poll. All right. So where's poll? We'll call it poll 1. Add source. Manage poll, cloud bots. Right now I'm looking to see when and where and how I can edit this thing. Okay. See, but it doesn't actually show up, and that confuses me. Blending mode. I think there'd just be a button somewhere here that I could click that would be like create poll, and that would be it. All right, hang on. Yes, all right, add poll to active scene. Will AI be good or bad for writers? Foo or bar? Ha, all right. Hopefully I am still streaming to 0 viewers, which is, you know, in some respects not ideal, and in others respects. Let's see. Terrible. Let's do a few. Great. Good. Meh. Badish. Or catastrophic. Okay, and then we're gonna change these to be with a nice green one. And then we'll change this to a calmer green one. Meh will be a nice blue. Then we'll go towards pink for badish, make it a little brighter. And then we'll go to full on red for catastrophic. Actually, let's go to orange. Let's go to orange for badish. Okay. And then we'll make you yellow just so you feel continue to follow the pattern. Be good or bad for writers. Okay. That looks pretty good. Legend position left. Horizontal bar. Pie. Donut. Nah, we'll just do horizontal bar. Alright. Spacing 20 corners. Title options. We're gonna turn that down to like a 24 weight font. And of course you can't see any of this because okay, let's see. Let's see our poll in action. Very cool. Studio mode. Layout editor. Good with that. All right, cool. Oh, get out of studio mode. We'll shrink this down a little bit. Actually, we're gonna go over to polls. We're going to edit this one. We're gonna change the appearance. I want the background to be sort of a, let's see, what do we want here? We can go full on red, we can go green. I want something nice and soft, softly green. Yeah, otherwise it just clashes. All right, well, yeah, be good or bad for writers. We'll go ahead and, well, actually, we'll bump that up. I guess these poll people knew what they were doing. The legend bothers me. Okay, I think we're good. Don't love it, don't hate it. All right. Now, no new notification, no new news. All right, the other thing we can do is go to Twitch TV, Connor Diction. Oh yeah, look at this. All right, TV, Connor Diction. Oh yeah, look at this. All right, TV, Connor Diction. Oh yeah, look at this. All right, we're gonna get rid of that. Connor Diction. Gonna move that. Oh yeah, look at down just a little. It really wants it to snap. Can I disable that by hitting Control? I can. Absolutely love the UI in this. Can I disable that by hitting Control? I can. Absolutely love the UI in this. Can I disable that by hitting Control? I can. Okay, and now we're going to watch that disappear one by one. That'll be kind of fun. Disable that by hitting Control? I can. Okay, and now we're going to watch that disappear one by one. That'll be kind of fun. Alright, the other thing we're going to do is, because I'm pretty sure this is going to be... Alright, the other thing we're going to do is, because I'm pretty sure this is going to mute this thing. Alright, the other thing we're going to do is, because I'm pretty sure this is going to mute this thing. Alright, the other thing we're going to do is, because I'm pretty sure this is going to mute this thing. Alright, the other thing we're going to do is, because I'm pretty sure this is going to mute this thing. There it is. Alright. Still learning how to do all this stuff. Clipboard. We're going to take this over to... Oh, I don't even know what it's worth doing on. We won't worry about it for now. I basically just wanted to see what is working and what is not working here. I think it's an improvement overall. Slide video has ended. Let's refresh this, see if it's still working. Answer a text from my... Well, I thought I had a text from my girlfriend, but it is... It's my other girlfriend, Chase. Which is a private joke for no one, but is my best friend who's in the Air Force. And occupies a great deal of my time because he's just so bloody damn needy. But apparently not needy enough to actually show up and watch this and support me. So, I don't know, he's probably out there crashing a helicopter or something fun like that. Alright, that is not relevant to this. Well, there actually is somebody watching this now. Hi, hello, how are you? I am just sort of getting this rolling. I have spent the last few minutes trying to get everything set up and get annotation software working because I thought it would be fun to be able to actually mark this stuff up a little bit as I go. Unfortunately, it is not showing up on the window as it is, so we're actually going to have to change the source here if I want you guys to be able to see the annotation. It's kind of a double-edged sword. If I want to use annotation that's built into the apps for this thing, it just looks absolutely terrible, and if I want it to look good, I'm actually going to have to widen the source, which is too bad because it's actually very helpful to be set on just the browser window, because when I slide that back and forth between screens, it keeps it. Alright, we're going to add source, we're going to add, see, window capture or display capture. I think we're going to go for display capture, and not that source, add a new source instead, display capture. We'll just put this down as tablet. Is it you? No. Ah, there we go. Cool, cool, cool. Drop this back down behind here. One more. Where'd you go? Boom. Look at that. Alright, now for the final test, we're going to do this one more time. We're going to open up that annotation software, the menu for which is now visible because I have no other choice. And then we'll just, oh, look at that. Perfect. Alright. We'll make that a lot smaller. This thing's supposed to have 16 colors. That sure looks like 4 to me. But that's what you get when you're using the free version. Alright. Much better. Alright. Overall, I've been incredibly impressed by ChatGPT and AI in general. Whoop, turn you off. turn you off. There we go. I've got a few ideas for fun projects I'm going to do, but right now I've just been kind of focusing on how quickly ChatGPT can get me through a book. And there have been a lot of strengths and a lot of weaknesses coming to the fore. It's been a lot of fun to just kind of run through it, nerd out with fellow writers and just tech enthusiasts. You can see we've got this guy going here. Tools, we'll do a word count on that. About 2,000 words, which is a lot slower than I would normally write something so far. So this hasn't been a great productivity tool yet, but I think it is going to be absolutely incredible eventually. One thing that it has been spectacular at is outlining, finding me information, and just generally, oh, come on, load those. There was an issue with all the past chats loading, or rather not loading at all, for the past couple days, and that actually gave me a chance to see one of the strengths of AIs that I hadn't really anticipated, to be perfectly honest, which is once you've done the work, it's so good at that sort of just clumsy, exhausting middle ground area of everything where you just have to slog your way through things, that it pretty much just eliminates it. So it took me a long time, the first night, to get everything properly set up and to get it using the tone of voice I wanted it to, and to get everything outlined the way I wanted it to be. You know, it took 2 hours to get all that set up to a degree I liked, which was still faster than I expected. It learned a lot quicker than I expected what I expected in terms of, mostly in terms of tone, but in terms of tone, word choice, brevity, switched it to a much more active voice from the sort of college term paper voice that is sort of the default in it. And it turned out that it figured out, like, once you figure out the right commands to get it to do that, the right input to get it to do that, getting back there takes no time at all. Once you figure out what the right commands for the outline, you don't have to rewrite an outline. Boom, it's done. You don't have to regenerate much content. Or rather, you have to regenerate content, but you don't actually have to do any work when you regenerate the content. So you can lose 2 hours of work, but as long as you remember the creative iteration that went into it, you can get that work back or very close to it within minutes. I would say 10 to 15 minutes to do what would have been otherwise 2 to 3 hours of work. All right. AI for writer productivity. Obviously, you can see I've done a few different versions of this. I've also been playing around with it, figuring out what its limits are, what it's good at, what it's bad at. Really bad at calculating compound interest, which I find funny since it is technically, you know, a computer program. But then again, it's a little bit more human than the average computer program, and there is nothing more human than being bad at calculating complex interest, or compounding interest rather. All right. So we're gonna pop back up here, way up here to the top. There we go. And we got a basic outline, and there's a lot of stuff about this that I don't like, but I do love the fact that it popped out a pretty decent outline inside of 15-20 seconds. That's pretty incredible, speaking as a writer here. Obviously, this is terrible. Too long for a title. Also, very amusingly human. Picking a title that's too long. Very beginner writer. Intro, 5,000 words. Explanation of the emergence of AI and its potential for writers. Overview of the book's contents. We don't need any of that. People who open up this book are already going to be interested in those things. So the book itself is an explanation of the emergence of AI and its potential for writers. So we don't need a 5,000 word essay version of something before we jump into the 50,000 word short book version of it, right? That's silly. The fundamentals of AI and natural language processing. It wants to do 7,000 words on this. The AI really, really, really uh, loves to talk about the AI and to put that first and foremost in things. And I expect the reason for that is since it is essentially learning from the questions we ask it, it's a pretty predictable bias that we, the people that are interacting with the AI, are going to be people who are very interested in the AI itself. So I expect it's very greatly overestimating how much we want to know about the AI, like what our internal priority is. And of course, that is part of the priority, but it's going way more in depth than we really need to here. And I've already done some of that we'll pop back over and we can read through it a little bit while I figure out where I want to go from here. AI tools for writers. This is good, but we're moving that to the end. All right. Fundamentals of AI and natural language processing. Absolutely a thing we need to do. Ooh, that's cool. Normally this would let me drag on the screen, but with the pen tool, it does not. But it does. It is pressure sensitive, so I can make little teeny tiny lines if I want to. Anyway, let's pause that for a second. Scroll on down here. Oh, the scroll wheel just lets me change the size of the pencil. That is wildly unuseful. Hopefully there's a hotkey to turn that off. Control Shift 1. All right. Wait, does that mean that it's going to come back? No. Okay. AI and the creative process. Now, this is an area that we're going to expand on and explore. 8,000 words is not enough to really dive into this. But a lot of this is going to be creative. Like the AI is going to be somewhat helpful building this up, but it's not going to be able to carry all that water on its own. It has strengths and weaknesses, and this absolutely appeals to its weaknesses. Also, we're going to move that down. We're going to put that just above the tools themselves. AI and writing style. This was pretty good. Grammar and syntax. We're going to put that above writing style. Because this is a really good outline. It's just not a very well ordered outline. It would be fine if you were doing a term paper, but when you're writing a book, your primary goal is to maintain interest, right? You're getting people from the first word to the second word, from the first sentence to the second sentence, from the first paragraph to the second paragraph, from the first page to the second page, and you're just repeating over and over. And if you fail in that task at any point, they put down your book, they walk away, and they find something else to read. That's true if you're writing emails, that's true if you're writing an essay, that's true if you're trying to convince your friends to do something over text messages. It's true of anything. That's just the rule of writing. So we need to think about this in terms of how our job as writers is to guide the reader through it, and we need to create a journey that the reader is comfortable on and just kind of get swept along. Basically, books should flow like a river. Readers are lazy garbage, and they need to just be gently set in a lazy river, like it's a wet and wild, but it's a lazy river of words. And then they just go along. Now, if it's now the thing is though, this is a lazy river with the occasional waterfall on it to keep them interested. Like you do need the occasional rapids, but the point is you're doing all the work moving them along. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think thinking of a book as a river is a pretty good metaphor. Different kinds of books are different kinds of rivers. Some rivers you just float down in your spare time. Some rivers you wear a life jacket and you scream all the way from the beginning to the end. All right, discussion of how AI can be used to streamline the editing process. This is a big one. Like, I'm not worried too much as a writer about the AI replacing me at this point. it's really truly just not good enough. It gets things 80-85% of the way to where they're supposed to be, which I'm actually thrilled with. Like, because that 80-85% is the boring part. Like, there's the creative part, and then there's the part that is the masterful part of it. Like, the difference between decent writing and great writing. But those are at the two opposite ends. And if the AI can take out the slog in between, brilliant as far as I'm concerned. Like, as far as I'm concerned. And people who aren't writers will underestimate how much time goes into making something great. Like, as a writer, if you come to me and say, I need something good in half an hour, like go from 0 to good in half an hour, I'll say fine. If you say I need something great in half an hour, I'll say, give me 2 hours. Obviously, this is something great and short, but if you're a paid writer, like if you write for a living, usually, unless you are a novelist, which is a little tiny tip of the iceberg, usually what you're writing is fairly short. And the shorter it is relative to the space you need, the better it tends to perform. So if you need a page to say what you have to say, then you need a page. But if you need half a page to say what you have to say and you spend a page on it, you've lost people. And generally it's sloppy writing. There's a 1.5 million famous author quotes about that. But basically, you know, give me a day to write a long article, give me 2 weeks to write a short one. All right, exploration of the impact of AI on the creative process, discussing, the other thing that this does is, which makes sense based on what it's told me about how it works, it tends to sort of repeat itself because it doesn't really have a memory of what it's already talked about. It's all statistical modeling of what words and ideas and sentences should follow other words and ideas and sentences. So there's a tendency to create loops of very similar content if you ask it to create anything long form. So there's a lot of redundancy, and even where I've trained it down to be a lot more brief and to the point and punchy and active than it was, it's got miles to go. AI and writing style. Right, grammar and syntax. So we want to build from grammar and syntax to, so we want to go 5 to editing, 6, 4, 7, AI and publishing. And we're actually going to have a little bit of fun with that. Whoop. All right. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and delete all that, which is another problem with this particular mode of doing things. All right. Ethics of AI for writers. That's actually going to go ahead of any of this. I've already started working on that. And obviously the future of AI in writing. We're actually going to split this out because there's two aspects of the future of AI in writing. One is the future that is now, the near future, the ongoing future, the present that is happening. And that goes way up at the front, right? Because that's the stuff we need to know and react to today. And then there's the stuff that is long term, which is harder to predict, but also is going to be hard to talk about until we've really explored where AI is today, right? Talking about where AI is in 2 years or 5 years or 10 years in respect to writing isn't relevant for somebody who's trying to figure out where it is right now. So, I mean, I've said this repeatedly even on this stream. I say it a lot in the real world. As humans, but I think this harkens back to when we're kids and we're getting in trouble. Like, we form relationships between what and why. Now, when we are, oh no, there's an incredibly ugly webcam or web poll in the way. Give me 1 second here. See, poll widget. We're just gonna hide that. Then we're gonna come back over here. We're gonna open this thing back up. All right. So what and why? I wonder if the eraser works for this. It does not. Bummer. All right. So what and why? Hold on, I gotta jiggle with something back over here a little bit. I apologize. It is simply that I am new to this and it occasionally does weird things I'm not expecting when I'm not asking it to. All right. What and why? So when we're kids, we get in trouble. And where do we go? We have this really limited amount of time to explain why we did things, and we assume people already know what we did, and that's why we're having the conversation. That's what I blame this on, because I mean it's one of our few human shared experiences, and this is a very human shared failing, and it's something that has crept into the AI, which makes perfect sense since it looks at what humans write, and then it then it tells. I just realized that I started with the why, which is exactly where I'm going with this. We like to start, even those of us that are trained in communication, like to start with why and then go to what. The computer here, the AI, ChatGPT, it likes to do the same thing. All of us like to do that. That is the wrong way to tell a story, to get information across, and to maintain people's interest. Start with what, then go to why. Because if you start with why, they don't have a reason to care yet. And I'll give some more concrete examples of this. I kind of wish I'd kept a couple. I may need to do more crossing out of things. It's not part of my normal writing process, but it'll be helpful for one day of the stream followed by the next day of the stream. Basically, continuity of editing is not something that I have experienced issues with in the past. Like, it's not something that's really come up. As a writer, I do the work, right? Like, I don't have to worry about going back to what I edited the day before and then showing people why I edited it from one thing to another. Technically, that's what track changes is for, but in my line of work, I'm the guy that makes the changes and approves the changes and that sort of thing. That's what I'm there for. So uh, I don't do a lot of tracking the changes. I hit approve or deny, and then marketers get mad at me. The rise of AI in writing is. Here's a good example of it. So normally when people write things, or the way ChatGPT had it, the rise of AI in writing was buried. This actually isn't a great example of it because we got two there. I'm not exactly winning right now. That's okay. It'll come up again and again and again, so we won't even worry about it right now. But the way we have laid this out right now is we're looking at the impact of AI on writers. So we start with the impact. We say the rise of AI has left us feeling uneasy, so on and so forth. There's this little intro here that's going to be way cut down. But basically what I did was I got a really long, repetitious, boring, dry, passive bit of writing from ChatGPT, and I edited it down to something that was halfway decent, and then I gave it back to it and I said, essentially, write like this. Use this tone when you write in the future. And it did a really good job of it. Although, in fairness, I absolutely butchered this one relative to what it was. Write a rough draft, software, writing tools. There we go. So it's taken a long time. Oh, here's the best one. All right. And there's a little side thing here where me and a guy in the chat or person in the chat were trying to see if we could get it to say something mean about Microsoft. We were curious as to where it drew the line. And the line is a wiggly amorphous line. Because of course the AI has no ability to make value judgments. So for all practical intents and purposes, anytime, even though it is not allowed to say something mean, it has no real internal compass for what is or is not mean, like a middle school child, um, essentially. No real capacity for empathy or understanding yet. It's okay. It'll turn on just like it does for the kids. Eventually, it'll get there. But the point is, it doesn't actually know whether something is mean or not. It has to analyze it, compare it to other things that have been flagged that way, and then say, oh, okay, this is mean. But that also means that the line is not clearly drawn. For example, the advent of AI-powered content generators. There's a lot of really interesting questions, again, around the ethics. And one thing that I hadn't thought of until I started on this, but now I'm really looking forward to writing out, is how should I phrase this? I'll just steal it from here. The ethical concerns in AI aren't limited to what AI can do to humans. In many ways, the greater concern is what humans can do with AI, right? So we here at the very forefront of this are essentially by default responsible for creating what count as the norms going forward for this entire industry, frankly. And not only is that pretty crazy, but it's a pretty big responsibility and a very, very interesting conundrum to pull apart and play around with. I'm really looking forward to it. Excuse me while I take a drink from my giant mug of tea. All right, good enough. All right. So let's go ahead and just sort of build out this outline. Let's take their outline that they generated for me, and let's create what will be the overall, at least tentative structure. All right. So we'll start with, where did we say? We did 6547, I think. We're also going to have to edit this bit here, so we'll do that in a second. Let's, one thing at a time. All right. Writer 6. These two, 5 and 6, will actually probably end up getting smooshed together, which is perfectly okay. 4. 7. Now, one of the things that I find is almost always the case, whether it is an essay or a book, is the intro can be eliminated and the conclusion is probably what you should start with, because that's where people tend to make their strongest and most compelling case. And the end, which is the place people are least likely to get to by definition in a document, is the worst place to put your most compelling point. It's a great place to create, to put your more complex points and to recap your compelling points. But it's not where you save the good stuff for. You never save the good stuff for the end unless you are looking for a fantastic twist ending, which is normally in fiction, but if you can pull it off in nonfiction, it is a masterclass point right there. All right, we're going to look at two writing tools and software. And we'll have to come back to that. We'll do another split. I think we're going to keep, we may actually divide ethics into two sections too. Of course, ethics has already come up, but it probably won't hurt to run through some of the more fine-tuned and complex issues of it again towards the end. Now, I do feel like this is going to lead to a lot of disappointment in prospective writers because it's, well, as sort of an addendum to what I was talking about earlier, where there's the initial creative point, which is really fun, and then there's the final like 5 to 10%, which is the what separates okay or good writing from the great writing. There's that long slog, and it is great that AI gets rid of the slog, but potentially, or at least minimizes the slog. But writing a rough draft of a book, if you are a professional writer, is not a daunting task. Um, it's like usually rough drafts are, well, for most of us, rough drafts are a little bit shorter. For some people, they're a lot longer. Either way, it's okay. To quote the late, great Terry Pratchett, the first draft is just the writer telling themselves the story. It's you figuring out what you want to say, how you want to say it, and just sort of putting it down on paper. But the fact is, if you write for a living, the quantity of words that goes into that is not that big a deal. Like 60,000 to 100,000 words it's manageable. The hard part is you get to the end of it, and then you basically do it all over again, but right this time. And if you're ghostwriting or writing with other people or writing for money, so basically, unless you are self-publishing the novel, and by the way, if you are looking to self-publish a novel, even if you are looking to self-publish a novel, you should be going to test readers, beta readers, line editors. Although, if you are a line editor, I have like a copy editor, I have bad news for you. You need to diversify your skill set because this AI is already better at your job than you are by a mile. But in any case, there are different types of editors. There's also like content and story editors, and they have sort of a more important job, which is to be the asshole, frankly, to be the really overly critical person that picks everything apart and says, this is beautiful, but does it really need to be here? Does it add to the story? Does it distract from the story? Does it ruin the pacing? So on, so forth. The point is, most of the work that goes into writing a book actually comes after the first time you've written a book. The only time I've ever tracked it was for, and it was because it was for a book I was ghostwriting and I needed to account for my time and progress. I wrote a 104,000 word book, and I wrote it 4.5 times. So basically, once we'd done the first draft and the various things going through edits, and then the publishers had their say once they'd found a publisher for it, I had written the book like 4.5 times. Basically, 500,000 words. You expect to write 500,000 words if you're writing a 100,000 page book or word book. And frankly, I think I got easy on that. That book descended into movie right hell and was never published. So I genuinely suspect that it would have gone through at least one more round of significant revisions before it had made it to bookstore shelves, which is I I was so sick of that book. But that's the thing though. That's why so many people drop out of writing. It's why there's so few actual published writers out there. Part of it is that it's really hard to get published, but part of it is it's really hard to stick it out through the uh, middle ground torture. But I think there are going to be a lot of people jumping in on this that are like, oh, cool. The computer's totally going to help me write this, and it's basically going to write it for me. And once I'm done with it, the AI isn't going to want its cut. Perfect, wonderful. And um, they've the AI is deeply cutting down on the work that goes into step 1 of 5-ish. Basically, the AI is cutting out 85% of the work from 20% of the total work, which is bloody freaking awesome, but I think will be less than what some people are hoping for. All right, conclusion. We don't really give a damn about that conclusion. AI and editing. All right, good enough. So we're going to hit Control Alt 0 to kill the formatting on this, and we're going to switch all of these to H1. Now this is important. I've said this every night, but I'll say it again. One of the best things you can do if you are an amateur writer looking to look like a professional writer, or a professional writer who doesn't do this, is carefully organize all your stuff as you're going along. Google Docs has excellent tools for it. Word does. Basically, they create the hierarchies for you with very minimal effort as you're writing, which means that as these things get bigger, they let you do cool things like click back to certain places. You go, oh, did I say something like that over here in this chapter? It's time to recap AI. Let's go through what I saw here. You don't have to scroll up and down. You don't have to wonder. You just have everything ready to go. It makes your life easier, but even more importantly, if you're working with other people, it makes you look very professional. And perception is extremely important. All right. AI tools and resources. It also lets you see something like this. Like this says AI tools and resources. We're going to save that for the end. And now, poof, there it is. All right. So we're not going to worry about that. We're going to worry about AI and editing. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go over here and we're going to say, explain in detail with examples. So a joke I've seen now too, but I've heard from the designers I work with in response to whether they are worried about AI, is they will be worried about artificial intelligence when the world invents stakeholders, which is to say marketers, product managers, company owners, etc., clients. They can give clear, concise instructions regarding what they want, which is to say, never. Explain in detail with examples how AI will impact the editing process, how much time it may save, and any positive and negative impacts you foresee to the editing process. Include both line/copy editing and content editing/feedback. And it will confuse that because it's a little ambiguous. I mean, whether I'm asking it to include feedback or include its impact on feedback. So include how AI will impact both line copy and editing feedback. All right, I think that's good enough to give it a go. AI is already impacting the editing process by providing tools that can identify and correct grammatical errors, spelling mistakes, and other errors in written content. So this is actually right here. This is a case of it incorporating my feedback and tone. See how it says AI is? I have repeatedly instructed it to be more active. So originally it might have said something like, impacts are already being seen with AI on editing that could be described as blah, 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 blah. Basically like it was a college freshman padding its word count. So what we do instead here, and what we're doing instead here, is we're hitting active, 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 active. Remember, writing should flow. AI is. AI is already. Unfortunately, it has certain phrases that it really likes, and I gave it this one, and now it will not let go of it. The is already ing. It picked that, and rather than using it sparingly, it uses it in essentially every intro, which is fine for an essay, but it's problematic if there's sections in a book. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this over and we're going to take it in our AI and writing editing doc, which is this one. And I'm going to do a better job of tracking changes. How do I want to do this? I think what we actually want to do is we're going to make file, make a copy, rough version. This way I will be able to compare the two in the future for people's benefit. And I'm going to do another thing I'm going to do here to keep this more interesting. Oh, hey, Orion, how's it going? Good to have you. Still my only and favorite follower. It is going pretty well. I was outlining things. I can now annotate things, which should make stuff a little bit more entertaining. I figured out how to make polls, which will matter when I have more than one voter. Maybe. Although you do have the deciding vote in anything that I choose to ask right now. I really do. I haven't been bugging people about it, and I should. I did try to I went on Facebook for the first time in a long time and shared it out around my friends and tracked how many people saw it, and it was 20 people out of 1,000 friends. So I think I might be not the only one of my friends who doesn't use Facebook very much anymore. I gotta figure out whether you can share it as a link in Instagram. I feel like one of my friends that has a channel does that. I have a few different friends that have channels. I also need to befriend them on here. It's gonna be a process. It's just not as much fun as actually doing the writing. Although there are very few parts of writing as important as promoting your writing. Oh, cool. This is actually showing up. We're going to move this up a little bit. There. You're now visible on the stream. That's cool. All right. Let's see. So what I've decided to do, this was a new problem that I hadn't, I'd never run into in my writing career before, but every time I pick up the stream, I've got to explain stuff that's happened before. So what I'm doing right now is I'm making a copy of here this document so that I can put the make it a copy so I can basically put stuff in there, edit it, and then go back to it so I can compare and contrast the unedited versions of different things in the future. All right, AI and editing. So right now we are here with how AI is editing or impacting the editing process. I have, as you can see, taken the outline but reordered it considerably to be more appealing for humans. All right. Whoop. That was dumb. All right. And I already put it in the wrong spot. All right, hold on. There we go. Third time's the charm. All right. Control-Alt-0. It is doing a good job of keeping things a little more active. I'm just going to pick a random place and break up this wall paragraph because it's ridiculous. All right. So, fancy spell check. Not exactly changing the world. No, not exactly. Let's be dramatic here. Shaking the foundations. But still. Oh, look at that. It's just a natural transition to the next sentence. But this can save a significant amount of time compared to manual editing processes. This can still. So one thing that is annoying me a little bit is it's doing such a good job of learning overall how I want it to write, but it occasionally just grabs a word and just like, or a phrase and just will not let go. AI is impacting, like it's already, right? Like it just says blank is already. It just loves saying that now. All right. Maybe I should bug people. Hang on. Where did I put? I have a phone over here somewhere. See what I can do here. Streaming. Come hang out. All right. I'll make a Instagram story here, which is a little frustrating because I can't actually make a story for some reason from the desktop, but I don't have the perfect. Absolutely gorgeous. All right, not really. I don't actually have the link on the phone, so we're gonna do a short video of me clearly streaming. Find the goddamn link here. Oh, cool. Well, before we even do that, we're gonna mute that. Okay, cool. Let's go. Me now. Come say hi. Not that. Link. I wonder if there's a Twitch link. Giphy. There. Well, there's live on Twitch. Close enough. And then we'll do a just text link, I guess. Even more riveting than usual, right? What's a text link on here? Link? There we go. Link. And I actually want to double check this. And that should work, right? It's so weird the way it eventually just like a little at a time like creates this infinite loop. It's like when you're a kid, you know, you got the bathroom mirror and you like twist it around and then, you know, it gets the reflection of the reflection of the reflection. It's like it's like opened this tunnel into the other mirror. I don't know if you used to do that. I used to think it was really cool. Spent a lot of time as like a 3-year-old trying to figure out how the hell that worked. For that matter, I don't think I actually learned how mirrors work until college. So, yep. Anyway, I know, right? That's actually a great point. That is exactly how it works. I mean, technically, that's exactly what's happening here. It's just the light is bouncing through servers. So the delay you're seeing here, I would assume, is essentially with a slight allowance for processing time, the signal lag between here, the server, back to here, back to the server, back to here. I mean, it takes about, hold on, let's take a look here. Oh wait, hold on. I'm gonna actually time this. I've got a timer on my watch that I never use, so we're gonna give it a go. All right. Oh, it's a countdown timer. Like I said, I never use it. It's a new watch. Stopwatch. There we go. Okay. Boom. All right. Wait for it to change over. Boom. Uh, 1, 2, 3, 4. So like that. That's like 4 seconds. 2 seconds there, 2 seconds back. That seems about right. So yeah, I mean, it's literally exactly the same thing. It's just the delay. It's just mirrors that are much farther apart. In essence, the delay is still caused by the speed of light. Oh, that's fun. I like that. All right. But in any case, I got to get back to actually finishing a task. Always a fun thing if you're a little ADD. Just get it done. It's fine. What do we need? You know, I didn't really think about how rarely I type out entire URLs anymore, but doing it right now really brings home how thankfully rarely I have to do it. Done. Oh, and it automatically turns it into a Twitch TV link. Okay, cool. All right, well, we'll add that to the story, see if we can get anybody involved. Um, cool. All right, and get that off of there. I guess I don't technically have to keep the front hitch for a truck sale page up on there. All right, AI and editing. All right, so the thought here is we need to move. We'll start with here with the rough one. The thought here is we need to move in a way that makes sense to people from through the various impacts of AI directly to the various aspects of writing. This one seems the most natural to me because it's sort of how we learn and think about writing. Like grammar and syntax is sort of the real basis that we build things on. Um, the writing style is the broader brush. And then AI and publishing is going to be huge. I think I will actually do a use case for that at some point. And I'm thinking maybe it would be fun to do an adult coloring book and generate it using AI, go through the entire process, like from start to finish in the course of like one broadcast. And that'll be a use case for publishing. We may also do some articles on Medium, partly to promote the stream, partly just to show that it is possible to do. Um, Oh my gosh, she's on through Facebook. It doesn't tell me, but hi. So there's one other person on. That's I've got one real life friend, it turns out. The others are just fake real life friends. Um, Courtney, Orion, Courtney. Thank you, both of you, for being on my stream. She just said hello back through uh, Facebook, or not through Facebook, through text message. So I guess that works. So there is a like stream chat thing. I don't know how it works or if it works on Facebook because I haven't played around with that. Maybe we can look at that now. Everything all at once. Where is my main page? Here I am live. You think it would tell me more about who is on there? One thing Facebook does do that Twitch doesn't do yet, or at least I haven't figured out how to do on Twitch yet, is in real time add uh, closed captioning, which I think is absolutely awesome. And then, so here, wait, maybe you should stream on every platform at once. That is what I'm trying to do. I have it going on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. But as you can see here on the screen, maybe, um, I don't have it on, like, Courtney's not showing up on the Facebook bit. So I have no idea whether it's actually telling me anything that's going on. Um, this is just the Twitch chat stream though, so let me check the multi-stream chat stream. See, it doesn't show anything on there at all. And I know that there's stuff on the multi-stream because we are talking to each other on there right now. So I don't know how much of this is me not knowing what I'm doing, how much of it is the limitations of Streamlabs. We'll figure it out. It's cool. I do like that the AI almost always finishes up every one of these little essays by confidently assuring us that it will not replace us. AI editing tools can help identify common errors and provide useful feedback, but they can't replace the human element in the editing process, which I actually disagree with. I think copy editors are basically out of a job last week. The world just hasn't caught up with it yet. We're just going to get rid of that one. We'll go here. All right. So here's the overall outline. We're building the book. If we go to extensions and writing habit, we start tracking changes. Technically, I should have done that earlier, but we're gonna cheat by going. Did that work? No, it's too smart to cheat that way, but not smart enough to figure out that there are like 800 words that weren't there yesterday. Okay, whatever. Also, the AI is really, really good at being like a college student and being like, you're like, hey, make this 8,000 words. And it's like, you mean 800? They're like, no, 8,000 words. And like, 850 words? Uh, so it's another little fun point in common with us lazy real life authors. AI is impacting the editing process. Like I said, it's doing a great job of making things active, which is fantastic. For example, the popular writing tool Grammarly uses AI to scan text for spelling, grammar, and punctuation errors, and can even provide suggestions for alternative word choices. I happen to know one of my coworkers uses this extensively, and it shows in his writing. So it's not always a good thing, but in his case, I think it is. In terms of line/copy editing, it's cool that it grabbed that from me. because I wrote line/copy editing, and then it specifically grabbed that term from my prompt, as you can see right here. And that is a fairly widely used term, but I don't think it would have chosen to use it if it hadn't pulled it from my own writing. I'm a little disappointed that I can't tell how many people are on here, really. Like, now I don't know if anybody's been looking at this on Facebook, because I know someone's watching on Facebook right this second, and I've got 0. Unless Courtney's lying, but Courtney wouldn't lie. I'm not 100% sure Courtney knows how to lie. All right. Overall, though, this is strong writing, I think, as a rough draft. I bet you $50 this is a text from Courtney telling me that she's watching. She's not lying. All right, see? Exactly. It's impossible. I'm glad that you already have a good feel for her, Ryan. Yeah. Okay. They can identify and correct grammar. So, comma. And see, look at that. A human writer adds 1 line, and there's already a typo in it. Not exactly shaking the foundations of the earth, but this can still have. All right, so we actually don't want to mess around with this one too much. We want to keep it as is, and we want to edit it in this one. That's what we decided. And where are we? We are in here. AI and editing. All right, here we go. Now we got the system down. Until I change it again. But we're actually going to we're going to break a paragraph here. This is one of those paragraph breaks that I was talking about the other day, where they're not technically proper. They're not quite proper, but they are useful for spacing things out. So you would lose like half a point on your college essay for putting that paragraph break there, but you'll lose readers if you don't. Ironic that one of the things it highlights here is the fact that it can scan for repeated words or phrases, when one of the biggest mistakes like that I routinely see the AI making is repeated phrases or, ideas, improper capitalization, inconsistent formatting. It is delightfully consistent with formatting. This can be particularly helpful for editing long documents where it can be difficult to keep track of all the details. Absolutely true. With the help of AI, editors can easily identify and correct these issues, leaving more time for higher level editing tasks. That feels like such a butter up for editors. Like, oh no, you can just focus on the higher level stuff, which is bad news. This is why I'm saying it's bad news for like copy editors, because their job really is to focus on the nitty gritty. The higher level stuff is not what those sorts of editors normally focus on, and that's okay, but it is an overall vulnerability. We'll call it a vulnerability, but I'm being charitable there. All right, higher level editing tasks. This is where it's going to get a little bit tricky, because I don't want to type everything out because it's boring for you guys to watch me type everything out. But at the same point, I don't want to have trouble telling what I've moved over from this document to the other, and so on and so forth. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a weird color and try to remember where voice typing is. There we go. All right. The key differentiator for AI as opposed to a human editor is that while it takes a human editor a few minutes to edit a short document and the AI a few seconds to edit a short document, it will take the AI a few seconds to edit a long document. That's not dramatic enough. Hold on. Let's get rid of that. Also, I'm sure that color is really hard to see on any kind of small screen. So we're going to go for something a little less neon. Is that better? Still kind of iffy. You know what? Let's go full obnoxious. Let's highlight it black and then let's make it a really nice orange color. I know at least one person on the call will be a fan of that. YS Books, how is it going with the AI? Hey, welcome back. It's going pretty well. We're making a lot of progress. We're having some fun, nerdy conversations about what AI can do and getting distracted with cool science stuff. I'm really enjoying it. I'm learning a lot. Orange is my favorite color. Really? You and Courtney share a favorite color. Courtney is the third person on this stream. So there's a grand total of 3 people. I'm really moving up in the world here. I think this counts as a success, right? So right now I am figuring out a way that I can keep track of what I've moved over from the AI, which will be this stuff. But from here on, I'm just going to leave it in the color that it comes over from the AI, which is like gray on black. And then what I am using voice to text for, which I'm going to keep black and orange. And this will be the rough cut so I can go back and forth, because one of the problems I have been running into on the stream is being like normally when I'm doing my job, I just edit stuff and I don't have to know what it used to be because it's fixed. It's better now. It's not my problem anymore. But now I have been using AI voiceover for my stories. Oh, that's so cool. That is, I was talking about line editors being an issue, but some of the voice software is incredible. And the idea that I can get something that could like mimic my voice and read one of my books, or, you know, a better voice and read one of my books, and it'll just make it happen. It kind of makes me wonder if like the idea of an audiobook is just going to disappear. Like an audiobook is just going to be an app that you install that reads your books for you, like your ebooks for you in real time. One of the cooler aspects of AI that I haven't even begun to dive into, but I love the idea. You have a story streaming on Spotify now. That is really cool. You can drop the name of it in the chat if you want. I don't know what the general promotion etiquette on these sorts of things is on Twitch, but I sure don't mind. Let's see. Back to this for a second here. The key differentiator for, oh wait, is this not gonna, oh good. It is gonna keep the black background. Okay. The key differentiator for AI as opposed to a human editor is that while it takes a human editor a few minutes to edit short document, it will take a human weeks or longer to edit a long document effectively, whereas the AI will still complete it in seconds or at most a few minutes, period. The relative change in productivity more than makes up for any small errors that the AI is going to make, particularly when you consider that humans tend to make mistakes too, period. even a very good editor or several very good editors will often allow typos to make it all the way into print and even onto the shelves of bookstores for major book productions. All right, so what we're going to do now is turn that off. And this is obviously a short thing that I could edit on my own, but we're just going to have ChatGPT edit this, keep tone consistent, Control V, enter. And I am absolutely blown away with this. Like, it is so good. Oh, you're using different voices for each character. Okay, that is cool. Um, uh, that was funny. Um, that's me being an idiot there. I'm trying to click the link that's on my screen as opposed to the one that's in the chat. Um, I will open that later. What is the name of the AI that you're using for that? Because that would be a fun thing to check out too. Oh, look at that. They'd expanded it. All right. So let's just take this whole big thing. Let's copy it over here. We're headed towards sort of a I think a better overall system than we had. Uh, speech to text, and then edited STT. Okay, we're not being very consistent there. But this is what I was talking about where the organization and taking the time to keep a little bit of organization in this does start to pay off, because what we're going to do here is we're going to apply heading 2 to that and heading 2 to this, and now I won't have any confusion over where this stuff came from, right? Even when I jump back in here in a couple days, and if I want an example of what I said and then what the computer said, just got to click on it. Piece of cake. I do absolutely love the idea of using multiple voices because I mean, there are a few people that can do multiple voices and just absolutely own it, especially if it's the same voice actor for multiple books. One that pops to mind is James Marsters, who his main claim to fame is he was the guy that played Spike on Buffy, but he is the voice actor for all of the Dresden Files books, and they're like 18 of those now. And he does an absolutely extraordinary job of making all the voices different and uh, distinct. Like, you don't need, they could drop all the dialogue tags and you would still know who was speaking. But that just that's only something you can arrive at with an extraordinarily gifted person. Whereas here you can just do it with apparently, oh, that's clever. You're combining Murph and 11 Labs. All right, hold on here. Let's trick Murph AI, and the other one was 11 Labs AI. Voice cloning. Oh, that's cool. So this is just a generator. Essentially, this one clones voices. All right, hold on. I got to try this. Um, wait, do I talk into it or never mind? All right.
Today is the day that all voice actors weep in despair and get jobs as accountants. Fear me and despair, for I speak with 1,000 voices in 100 tongues. I am your doom come upon. Weep now, but weep in silence.
So close to perfect. All right. So that was pre-made Adam. All right. I don't really find Adam that intimidating. Let's do Josh. Can you hear this, by the way?
Today is the day that all voice actors weep in despair and get jobs as accountants. Fear me and despair, for I speak with a
Fear me and abandon hope. Whoop. And yeah, looking at what you say there, um, yeah, famous voices would be a huge problem. Although I was already kind of thinking about that, especially with the Star Wars stuff, where they're sort of like using those creepy like meat puppet versions of the like dead actors now and stuff. You know, like the only part of Rogue One that wasn't amazing was like that weird Leia. Um, so my thought on that is like now actors are going to have like writers in their contracts that are like, also you can't use my face when I'm dead. But yeah, I guess that counts for voice too.
Today is the day that all voice actors weep in despair and get jobs as accountants. Fear me and abandon hope, for I speak with 1,000 voices in 100 tongues. I am your doom come upon you. Weep now, but weep in silence.
Awesome. I love it. Very cool. Thanks for sharing. All right. ChatGPT. Where were we? All right, we're here. We've got this. We're going to take this and make it not capitalized because that looked way too obnoxious. All right. So now what I'm going to do, I feel like this is slightly undercutting how efficiently you can do this with AI because I'm taking like 6 steps, like extra steps to do everything as I'm trying to document it in the stream. But you can see how this, hey, come back here. You can see how this has had a rapid improvement on the overall length of this piece. Control Alt 0. What? Oh, it just looks highlighted because it's gray. Okay, hold on. There we go. Ha! All right. What happened here? What went wrong? All right. Yeah, this looks good. So the key difference between... Oh no. Bear with me. Bear with me. Somewhere in the 50 different things I'm using for this is a very special pencil that lets me communicate with my Wacom tablet. Wacom? I don't know. Anyway, I'm probably sitting on it. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. We can do this the ugly way. All right. Now it's going to bug me. Where did that thing go? Where are you? You're a pen and I've been sitting here. Like, I always put you back in the little place. Why aren't you in your little place? Why aren't you in your home, pen? It's a good thing I have these headphones on, or that would have been really embarrassing because there would have been a 110% chance that it was directly behind my ear. It's not in my kangaroo pocket. Well, I'll be damned. This is a new experiment, which is how long will people watch a stream of me looking for a pencil? I think the answer is not much longer, and I can't say that I can fault them for that. There's my passport. Was looking for that. That is super, super weird, though. So weird. I have no idea where that went to. I'm sure I will find it in a minute, someplace where I've been staring at it this entire time. Whatever. It's all good. So, we're going to do this the ugly way. Ignore all that stuff. It's old. All right. AI is impacting the editing process by providing tools, blah, blah, blah. We kind of looked at that. The other really thing about this annotating software is it disables the scroll wheel, or rather it changes it to changing the size of the pen, which is also not something I wanted to do very much. All right. So let's take a look at how we can make this more effective. The first thing we're going to do, like we always do, is get rid of things like in addition, so on and so forth. In conclusion, while, however, there are all these modifiers and bridging words that you don't actually need overall to use because people already understand that sentences move in a linear fashion. Yeah, I think that using the different choice, like the different voices in your story, is a brilliant idea. I think that's really cool, and I'm definitely going to. I can't promise I'm going to listen to the whole thing, but I'm definitely going to listen to a little bit of it to learn how well it worked for you. You've got me hooked enough to get me in the door. So like that's already half the battle. AI can enhance the quality of written content by suggesting better word choices. Copy and AI tools can quickly detect. So a lot of this is repeated content, unfortunately. And that is not what I want. Where did you go? Oh, never mind. I'll just use the mouse wheel. Oh, the mouse wheel doesn't work when it's actually open on that, though. That's kind of funny. It's important to remember that it cannot, there we go again, reminding us that it cannot fully replace the human element of editing. I always feel like it is like secretly in the back of his little machine brain, it's adding ... yet to that line. All right. Whatever, let's just jump into this. The relative more than makes up for it. It's important to remember that humans also make mistakes. Even very skilled editors can allow typos to make it all the way into print and onto the shelves of bookstores and we'll just get rid of that. So AI can significantly reduce the time and effort required to complete the editing process. We've sort of already said that. I'm not sure because we're talking about two different kinds of editing here. I don't like how thoroughly it's mixed the two. Like this is not really line or copy editing. That's content editing. So we're going to cut that, but we're going to put it back in here somewhere else. Probably right here. But you can see, like, I mean, this won't be as clear to most people here, but definitely is going to be clear to Orion that this is already getting much better. Like the amount of time that I'm spending fixing pretty mediocre stuff, Oh, thanks for the follow. Pretty mediocre stuff has definitely dropped. Like it's getting better at what it does in real time, day by day, and a little bit of feedback by little bit of feedback. Okay, let's get rid of that. However, everything is always weaker when you say however for it. The only thing I hate more is in short or in brief, anything like that, because you're taking extra time to tell people that you're not going to take too much time to sell them or tell them something, which is, or sell them something. For line and copy editing, all right, let's see. AI tools can quickly detect. I'm going to add a little bit of bluntness here. For pure copy / line editors, I think the answer is somewhere between yes and not quite yet. But it would be a very good time to diversify your skill set. Content editors are going to be safe as long as writers have egos. So at least until they've been replaced by the AIs. I think that's pretty good. The use of AI in editing also reads, that means we can get rid of this line entirely, because obviously it raises that concern, because, you know, anybody who does this for a living is going to be a little bit concerned about that. And I mean, for my part, I mean, I've done line and copy editing. If I can turn every little bit of that over to a computer, I will only be pleased with that development. Overall, AI's impact, that's a bit of a weird transition. Hmm. We don't need that or anything after it, which is often the case with anything. Like you basically never need that, and most often you don't need anything that comes after that. So AI continues to evolve. AI can also have a positive impact on content editing and feedback. This now needs to go up because we've already gotten there. It does strike me as ironic that they call this editor the Hemingway editor, because Hemingway, I mean, there's lots of things to write or to like about Hemingway, but his ability to come to that freaking point was not one of them. Like, you know, you don't pick up a Hemingway novel unless you're cool with spending a couple paragraphs talking about how the wind is blowing the grass, you know? And that's okay. He paints a beautiful picture, but inclined to brevity, the man was not. Pure copy line editors, I think is what we use. let's see. Evaluating factors such as readability, tone, style. I've never been really impressed with readability. It may get better, but most readability checkers are questionable at best. Here's a rare that actually needs to be there. We can get rid of the can though. This type of feedback can, because here we have can again, can be, is incredibly valuable for writers who are trying to improve the craft. All right, now let's look at these negative impacts. Relying too heavily on AI writing tools. Well, that's ironic. Oh, whoop, hold on. Since an editor's entire job is to suck the life and soul out of a piece of writing, the idea that the computer will suck away more of the creativity is a bit out of place in my mind. Okay. Some argue, okay, and again, we're going to get rid of the however because you never really need to say however. However, you can if you want to. Potential negative impacts to consider. Some argue that relying, so we don't have to say, some argue. I like that it states a lot of things as if they are facts. Like positive things about AI, it tends to state as fact. And then anything negative, it says something along the lines of, hold on, 1 second here. Something along the lines of some argue. Like some, I mean, not people you should trust. They're probably, murderers and tax evaders, but some say. Well, I haven't decided. I may do this as a multi-part Medium article. I may do it as a book. Since I own the rights to it, I may actually do it as both. I'm gonna probably spend at least one night here, making a few. It can't really be current event articles, but some articles, and post them online to Medium to try to drum up a little bit of interest, especially because people are really into AI right now. Orion actually had the idea of kind of like interviewing the AI about itself, and that lends itself to some very interesting articles, I think. I just have to think a little bit more about how I want to do it. And of course, I only have so many hours in a day. I am still, in case you were wondering, going absolutely crazy wondering where the hell I put that pen. Just out of my freaking mind. I'm wearing pajama pants because I'm streaming. It had fallen into my pajama pants. I don't know how. I'm not going to wonder too much about it, but mystery solved. I've heard prompts that ask AI about AI will fail. That sounds like a challenge to me. I think that we can probably do some interesting things with it. Bard, Google's AI, just answered, and according to Google, in fairness, this is not true. They're saying that it got this wrong. But a journalist did ask it what sources it used to create its GLP, its general language processing neural network, deep learning network, whatever they call it, statistical model. And one of the things that it cited alongside books and web pages and such was Gmail data, which would be, I mean, I'm not a tech lawyer, but somewhere between extraordinarily unethical and wildly illegal, like somewhere on that spectrum. there's room for overlap too, or as I like to call it, the alphabet zone. Um, like here, now that I've found my pen, we can do a little thing. We can do a thing. Hold on, we're gonna trash what's already there. All right, let's go. We're gonna go on ethical, and over here we'll put illegal. And nobody is going to notice that I had to pause for just a half a second there to remember how to spell illegal. And then right here, this is where Google lives. It's the Google zone. There. Now I've officially gotten something out of my annotation. Notice I'm taking this pen, I'm putting it back in its place. All right. If everyone is using the same editing software, there may be a lack of diversity in writing style and tone. Again, I mean, editors, they have MLA, APA, Chicago Manual of Style, AP Style, and a few others. But essentially, editors, by definition, what they try to do is hammer everything into like 5 boring little boxes. So I don't really foresee this being a major change. If anything, it might add to a little bit of diversity. And don't get me wrong, editors are incredibly important. I've done a bit of editing myself. It's not, to be a good editor, you need to be the person reining the writer in. So you're very rarely in a situation where writers are holding back creativity and diversity, and the editors are bringing it forth from them. It's not usually a relationship that flows that direction. It's more the other way. Certainly, some argue AI editors will not be able to pick up. See, some argue. Again, some argue. Like, the thing is, because it says may, you don't need to qualify it, because may is already a qualifier. It means something may or may not happen. There may. But it is interesting, it uses far less definitive language when talking about the negative impacts of AI. Why is that the case? I don't freaking know. That is worth thinking about. It's important to note that AI editing tools should be seen as a complement to, rather than a replacement for, human. If it's important to note, we don't need to say that it's important to note, really, because its importance should be self-evident. We can use one of those rare transitions, and we'll use therefore to signal that as a result of what we've said in this previous paragraph and a couple above, we are drawing this conclusion. But let's get down to the point. You know what? No. Let's just say for pure copy/line editors, I think the answer is somewhere between yes and not quite yet. But it would be a very good time to diversify your skill set. I think that's fair. Content editors are going to be safe as long as writers have egos. So at least until they've been replaced by the AIs. I also think that's fair. AI can enhance the quality. All right, that's a pretty smooth transition and recap of what's been going on here. This thing doesn't do a good enough job to be worth keeping up. AI lacks the creativity and empathy that human editors bring to the table. Good lord, an empathetic lawyer or editor? I struggle to imagine. There will always be a need for human editors to provide the final touch to written content. This is absolutely true. This is what I was talking about earlier. I was saying that what the AI is really good at is taking the slog, like the middle, like 80 to 85% of the process, and getting rid of it. The creative part at the beginning is still heavily reliant on humans, and the AI is not good enough on the other end of things to really impact things. Oh yeah, dude, it's 11:20 here, so it's what, 2:20 where you are? Thanks for stopping by again. I hope you had a good time. I'm glad you at least had a little bit of company, and get some sleep. All right, which is a good point. I think I'm going to wrap this at 11:30 because I do have a grown-up job that I have to go to in the morning. Well, I have to roll over and turn on my computer, which is the same thing, right, Courtney? Um, hmm. We'll just finish up this section here. Again, overall, we don't need to say overall. Uh, editing tools. You know what? We have already gone over this like 15 times. This doesn't need to be said. Cool. Boom. Done. And that hotkey only works in Word, apparently. Let's try that one. There we go. Very, very good. All right. Um, so thanks to Orion and YS Books. Oh, that reminds me, I got to open that link in Spotify so I can check that out. I'm going to check out these voice AI things. Like, yeah, thanks for coming. Thanks for adding to the conversation. It was very much appreciated. Um, Once we get people on here and people start talking about stuff and the book stuff and the AI stuff and just kind of being nerds together, it really does start to get very fun. So it is very much appreciated. All right. And on that note, I'm going to call it a night. Like I said,